We suspend the rules and vote
On what?
on this motion.
And then
What motion?
there is a motion and a second on the
To
table
fix the general ban.
authorizing Railroad Superintendent Bueller to work with the contractor to identify and the fitness, work on the fitness of the general ban.
Mr. Chair, point of order. This is the first reading, correct?
No, we're going to suspend the rules and do it right now.
So we got to vote on suspending the rules. And we'll take
Gentlemen, this is the reason we lost an executive director. Because your Mr. Phil Wellman threatened the executive director, if he didn't get his $20,000, he was going to turn off all restoration.
That's not a focus of this discussion.
It is now.
It is
That's the
not.
reason it's on the table.
It is not.
Point of order, Mr. Chair, I'm being personally accused of statements I did not make and things I did not do.
Well, then your previous executive director's like,
Yes.
Any statements about the previous executive director and statements that are not known to be made by the other individual are stricken from the record and will not be discussed here again this evening. Is that made clear? Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded on this first reading. There has been is that an amendment, or are we going to make another motion after this to
well,
suspend?
in the motion is to suspend the rules at the first reading.
Well,
and have it get-
the way the motion is seconded is right now, it's not.
Okay.
So,
Can we do it?
Yes,
First reading,
we can.
second reading, yep. Accepted.
I would like to believe that should be its own.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay,
You can't suspend the rules without a motion in a
Move
second.
to suspend the rules.
Yeah, that's not up to two people, it's up to the entire board. So let's work on the first motion, and then if it passes, we'll go to the second. So the motion's been made and seconded to authorize Railroad Superintendent Buelston to work with the contractor to determine the fitness of the general bend. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Aye, nay.
All right, we're gonna roll call it. Mr. Buelston, let me know when you're ready.
Okay, okay, so the motion is to, for Superintendent Pulston to hire a contractor to fix the general bin.
Authorize, the motion and second, as I've repeated it several times, is
Yeah.
authorizing Superintendent Buelston to work with the contractor to determine the fitness of the general bend.
Okay,
That was agreed upon by the movement.
No, that is, I'm sorry.
That was agreed and moved upon.
The motion was to return it to at least limited use.
All
Not
right,
determine the
I
fitness.
do remember that part, so if that was overlooked.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, there's a question that has not been answered that was raised during the discussion portion, and I think it's key. Who took it out of service?
That I don't know.
Mr. Chair,
Mr.
may I just ask if someone were to go to start it right now, it would start the way it's sitting out on the, I mean, is that, the question-
Find out, Mr. Bowman,
is this?
can the general bend start?
Yes, I believe it was used a couple of weeks ago by Mr. Van Gool. I believe there was some shot moves that occurred. I am not aware, I've not been made aware of any condition at present that would prevent it from operating on the limited basis that it's been operating on for quite some time now.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mark, please.
The reason we don't have an answer here is because I asked that question, the very first question I asked, and the board refused to answer it. They said that was a committee question and tabled it. And they refused to answer that question, that's why we don't have that.
My question is, why does the equipment maintenance chair and the railroad superintendent both not know whether or not a locomotive on this facility does not run? When we have an individual here who is the department head for diesel locomotives, is right here and tells me to my face, it can run.
We're changing the rules, sir.
I understand that.
No, we're not. Taking the bait.
So I'd like everybody to think long and hard on those two questions. So I will yield the floor back to the secretary, who, because he's a part of the agenda, really shouldn't be voting on this, but we'll see how that goes. And we'll accept a roll call vote.
Mr. Yazell,
I'm sorry, what is the wording of the motion? That was another question.
Still not clear.
All right, I will yield back. I apologize, Mr. Fieldsman. Mr. Meyer, would you please state again what your motion was that was seconded? That way we can have it on the record.
Motion to authorize Superintendent Pulston to hire a contractor to restore General Ben to at least limited use.
Okay. And the understanding that we have gained now is that the General Ben already is in limited use. Is that correct, Mr. Wallman?
I am not aware of any condition that would not make it so.
Okay,
To the best of my understanding, it is.
So it is. Okay, simple answer it is. Mr. Merchant.
I have a question. Please qualify that. Can run in the condition it isn't safely per FRA regulations or whatever.
Those don't matter in the yard.
All right, common
It has for
sense.
2 years. It
common
has for 2
sense.
years. It has for 2 years.
You'll have an open pan of diesel fuel. Doesn't that violate something?
Mr. Wallman, is that bucket indeed open, like open air?
Not in open air, it has a lid that snaps onto it. If it's sitting in a state where that lid is not applied at this time, that is a condition that needs to be corrected, but, it was, provided with a lid.
Okay, very well. All right. Okay, I'm closing questions. We need to move forward. Mr. Pulston, I apologize for the delay. You may move to a call vote.
Mr. Sears,
No.
Mr. Luttrell,
Yes.
Ms. Wood,
Aye.
Mr. Pettit,
Yes.
Mr. Marr,
Aye.
Mr. Hagan,
Aye.
Mr. Corcoran, Mr. Merchant.
Yes.
Pardon me?
Yes.
Yes. The secretary will not answer
Abstain?
with abstain.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Mr. Johnson. Mr. Wellman.
Okay.
Where are we at with that?
We got 4 against.
How many for?
1, 2, 3,
All right. It doesn't even
7.
vote then. 6 and 4?
7 to 4.
7 to 4 with 1 abstaining. Motion carries. Okay, anything else regarding C and D?
Move to suspend the rules.